In a quiet village nestled between the hills, there stood an old orphanage. Abandoned for decades, the windows were shattered, vines crept along the walls, and the air always seemed a few degrees colder around it. Locals whispered about a child who once lived there, a little girl named Elsie who had no family. She was quiet, always alone, and often seen staring out the window of the top floor. One winter night, the orphanage caught fire. Everyone escaped, except Elsie. Her body was never found. Since then, strange things happened. Children playing nearby would hear a faint giggle, or see a shadow dart past the broken windows. Some even claimed they saw a little girl waving at them from the top floor. Dressed in a soot-covered nightgown, her eyes dark and empty. One day, a group of teenagers dared each other to spend the night inside the orphanage. They laughed, filmed everything for fun, and set up camp in the old playroom. But when midnight came, the laughter stopped. They began to hear whispers, footsteps, the creaking of a swing that wasn't there. One of them saw a small figure standing in the hallway, motionless, staring at them, her head tilted to the side, hair hanging over her face. The boys screamed and ran, but when they looked back, one of them was missing. They never found him. And on stormy nights, when lightning flashes, villagers say you can still see a small figure in the top window, watching, waiting, smiling. After the orphanage incident, no one dared go near it again, except John. John was a quiet boy, shy and often bullied at school. One afternoon, he wandered near the orphanage, drawn by curiosity and sadness. That's when he saw her, Elsie. She stood by the rusted gate, pale and silent. John froze in fear, but Elsie didn't move. She just looked at him. Then, without a word, she began to follow him. John was terrified. He ran home, locked the door, and hid under his blanket. But when he peeked out the window, she was there. Not angry, not harmful, just watching. Over time, John began to talk to her. At first in whispers, then in full sentences. He told her about the boys at school, about how they laughed at him, pushed him, called him names. Elsie never replied, but she listened, always. Then one day, things changed. The bullies stopped. One boy came to school with a broken arm. Another swore he saw a girl with black eyes in his room at night. She whispered my name. He cried. She said, "Don't touch John again." John never said a word, but deep down, he knew. Elsie was watching, protecting. She was his only friend. As weeks passed, Elsie began to appear more often. John would see her in the corner of his room, by the window, or even sitting quietly beside him while he did homework. She never spoke, but her presence grew stronger, so strong that John began to feel safe only when she was near. He stopped trying to make friends at school. He avoided people. He didn't meet anyone. He had Elsie. He told her stories. He laughed when she flickered the lights in response. At night, he dreamed of her, walking beside him in the woods, holding his hand, whispering his name. John didn't know if those were dreams, or something more. One evening, John sat alone and whispered, "I think I'm in love with you, Elsie." For the first time, she moved closer. Her cold hand brushed his cheek. Her voice echoed faintly, "Don't ever leave me." From that night on, John was never seen without a shadow beside him. A shadow that whispered, a shadow that followed, a shadow that loved. The bond between John and Elsie grew stronger each night. John no longer feared her. In fact, he feared being without her. He spoke to her every evening, felt her presence in every corner. One cold autumn night, John whispered, "I wish I could be with you, forever." The room grew colder, the candles flickered, and Elsie appeared, clearer than ever before. She reached out her hand and said, "Come with me." John hesitated, but only for a second. He took her hand. The world around him faded. The colors, the sounds, his breath, gone. John woke up in a place bathed in gray mist. The sky was silent. The ground was cold. Shadows moved in the distance, lost souls wandering without time. Elsie stood beside him, holding his hand. "This is my world," she said softly. John looked around. "But, how do I go back?" Elsie's eyes dimmed. "You don't." John's heart sank. He hadn't meant it. He didn't want to die. But it was too late. He had chosen. His body was found the next morning, lifeless in bed, with a smile on his face. And at the window, some say, stood a boy and a girl, hand in hand, watching the world they left behind. John had followed Elsie willingly, but he hadn't known the cost. The world he entered was gray, silent, and heavy. Time didn't exist. Day and night were the same. John wandered endless fields of fog, always with Elsie at his side. At first, her presence comforted him, but then, she changed. She clung to him, wouldn't let him walk too far. If John looked away too long, she grew angry, her eyes turning black, her voice echoing like screams. "You said forever," she hissed. "You're mine." John started to feel trapped. This was not love, this was a prison. He tried to run once. Just once. The fog thickened, shadows rose from the ground. Hands, cold, boneless, grasped at him, pulling him back. No escape. The voices whispered, "You belong to her now." John screamed, but the sky swallowed his voice. Days passed, or maybe years. John no longer knew. He stopped speaking, stopped moving, until one night, he saw something. A crack, a tear in the gray sky. Through it, he saw the real world, his bedroom, his school, the trees in spring. Hope surged. He ran, faster than he ever had. Elsie screamed behind him, not in sadness but rage. "You said forever," her voice shrieked like glass shattering. John dove through the crack. Light surrounded him, warmth returned. He woke up in a hospital bed. Doctors said his heart had stopped for minutes. John was alive, but changed. At night, when lights go out, he still sees her. In the mirror, at the end of his bed. In his dreams, she whispers, softly now, "You escaped once. But I'm patient. I'm always here." John thought it was over. But in the nights that followed, his dreams grew darker. He saw faces, children he didn't know, all whispering his name. One night, he saw a burning orphanage. Not just one, but many. Different towns, different centuries. The same girl, Elsie. A ghost trapped in time. A girl who was never born, but created. John began to research. Old archives, forgotten books, hidden forums. He found a name, the Binding Curse. A dark ritual from centuries ago, meant to protect orphaned children by giving them a guardian spirit. But something went wrong. The spirit turned possessive. Every few decades, it found a new child to attach to. It gave protection, then took everything. And John was the latest. He found sketches of past victims. A boy in 1921. A girl in 1964. A twin in 1988. All with the same black eyes. The same whispers before they vanished. John panicked. He had to break the curse. But the curse could not be broken alone. He needed to find the first child, the one who first made the pact. The deeper he dug, the more reality blurred. Time folded, mirrors moved, shadows followed. One night, in a forgotten library basement, John found it. A photo, a contract, a name. Elizabeth Grayer, 1792. Elsie, John whispered. A girl sold to a cult. Used as a vessel. Bound forever. Suddenly, every whisper made sense. Every vision, every scream. John wasn't just haunted, he was chosen. And the curse was not done with him yet. After uncovering the truth of Elsie's origin, John knew he wasn't alone. Others had come before him. And now, they were coming for him. It began with whispers, not just Elsie's, but a dozen other voices. Low, angry, desperate. "You escaped. You broke the chain. Why you?" John started seeing faces in reflections, children with hollow eyes and open mouths. At night, they gathered around his bed. Not screaming, not moaning, just staring. These were the lost chosen, past victims of the curse who failed to break it. Trapped, twisted, consumed by darkness. Now they hunted John. They clawed at his walls. Scraped messages into mirrors. Trade places. John grew weaker. Every night, a part of him faded. Elsie no longer spoke. She only watched, as if waiting to see what John would choose. One night, he was pulled into the mirror. A place between worlds, a limbo of broken time and shattered souls. The lost chosen surrounded him, whispering their truths. "We trusted her too. She loved all of us, then forgot us. You're next." John screamed, but no sound escaped. Then, one girl, no more than 8 years old, touched his hand. "There's still a way," she whispered. "Find her heart. Burn it before she binds again." John woke up drenched in sweat. The mirror cracked. And on the glass, written in soot, "One chance left." John had one chance left. Burn her heart. Break the curse. But where was her heart? He searched through the old orphanage ruins. Beneath rotting floorboards. Inside ash-filled cribs. Days passed. He slept in shadows. Barely ate. Then, he found it. Hidden in a box wrapped in black silk. Buried under the chapel's altar. A dry, shriveled organ, cold, pulsing faintly. It was still beating. That night, the wind howled. Mirrors shattered across the city. Elsie knew. She appeared in his room. Not sad, not pleading, angry, betrayed. "You loved me," she hissed. "You loved what you showed me," John said. "But that wasn't love. That was a prison." She screamed, high, bone-breaking. The walls bled shadows. The lost chosen gathered, circling John. "Burn it," one whispered. "Do it now." John lit the fire. The flame flickered blue, then black. Elsie lunged. He held the heart over the flame. "You said forever," she shrieked. "I still mean it," John said, crying. "But not like this." The heart burst. Screams filled the sky. Light swallowed the room. The curse shattered. When John awoke, it was morning. The mirrors were whole. The air, warm. Elsie was gone. So were the whispers. John stood alone, alive, free. But sometimes, when dusk falls, he still looks toward the shadows. Not in fear, not in sorrow, but with a quiet ache, for the ghost who once wanted to be loved.